Now, back to the allegations that Ghanaian gold is being smuggled into Iran. $80 million worth of bullion has been found on a plane in Turkey. It's claimed the consignment was bound for Iran. International sanctions against the country prevent it from accessing foreign currency. And it's alleged the country uses gold to sidestep the rules so it can pay for its imports and get paid for its exports, especially oil. Ghana has been accused of helping them, allegations it has strenuously denied. President Mahama has ordered Ghana's security services to undertake a thorough investigation. Well, with me in the studio is Neil Atkinson, Director of Energy and Utilities and Research Analysis at DataMonitor. Is this a vital lifeline for Iran?
Well, not this one transaction, but a vital lifeline for Iran is some means or other of getting paid for its oil. Because oil exports are the biggest single game in the Iranian economy. Since the latest round of US and EU sanctions really took hold in the middle of 2012, Iran's oil exports have almost gone off a cliff. So they have to sell whatever they can to whoever and get paid by whatever means they're able to achieve.
Does the gold actually have to end up in Iran, or can it all be done with credit notes?
No, as long as it's essentially theirs, where it physically sits doesn't matter that much. Essentially, they have to get access to the value of the gold. And that is what helps keep their economy going.
Because we've talked earlier, haven't we, about the way in which you can sort of dye oil and there are blood diamonds and so. Yes. Again, a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the way of somehow identifying gold that can't be used for these kinds of. Is it possible?
Well, I'm not too sure about that, but the main issue here is how Iran is circumventing sanctions, whether it's doing it legally, i.e. finding loopholes like people avoiding tax, or perhaps doing it by rather less salubrious means. And I think so far, I don't think we should be accusing Iran of doing anything that's particularly illegal. It's just being highly inventive and highly creative. And countries like Ghana, who we can't necessarily blame because we don't know the full facts,
of course,
as long as they are not breaking any laws, then they're not doing anything wrong. But we don't know the full story of this one.
It's understood there's quite a team in Iran trying to work on schemes like this. I mean,
there are.
Unsurprisingly, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, in a previous life, I worked on oil projects in Iran and consulting projects. And the company I worked for some years ago stopped working in Iran, not because we couldn't do the work, but because we couldn't get paid. And the whole point of sanctions applied by the US and applied by the EU now is not necessarily to stop Iran producing oil or exporting anything else. It's to exclude Iran and indeed its trading partners from the international financial system. And that's the real sanction which the US is applying.
What do you think the current state of Iran's foreign reserves actually are?
Oh, it's pretty disastrous because since the middle of 2012, their oil exports have gone down from something like 2 million barrels a day to about 1 million barrels a day. So that's a massive loss of revenue. They don't export in any great quantity much else. They do export fruits and nuts and things like that, but it doesn't come close even to oil. So their foreign exchange reserves are basically far, far less than they were, which of course has huge impacts on the rest of the Iranian economy because they can't get access to foreign exchange to bring in other imports which they need to keep the economy going.